Welcome back to my channel. I wasn't planning on doing another reaction to the PsycHacks channel, but it seems he doubled down on the video I addressed last time. So I'm reacting to his follow-up video and putting it out midweek instead of waiting for Friday. Things have gotten far worse with relationships than when I was young, mostly because of the changes brought on by a combination of modern feminism and birth control pills, both of which stem from the 1960s. The negative trend can be demonstrated by how, prior to those changes, the question was whether a girl would kiss on the first date, but now it's whether she will offer sex on the first date, and PsycHacks seems to think a woman should. Young men regularly try to convince a girl to have sex and have all kinds of self-serving arguments they hoped would convince their date to give in. The most classic being, "If you love me, you prove it." But there was also the medical type arguments. Young men might tell the girl that it is dangerous for a man to be aroused but not have sexual release. You know, as if his male parts would fall off if his girl didn't give in. In short, guys would say pretty much anything in hopes of getting their way. PsycHacks has been saying things that young men will love to use to pressure their girlfriends, with the advantage that it is coming from a trained psychiatrist, so it sounds authoritative. Let's get to the first clip.
Many women believe that they are more likely to get ghosted if they put out too soon. That is, they believe that a man will not see her as a long-term prospect if they sleep together on the first or second date. So they put up obstacles in the path of the men they really like.
First, why describe it as obstacles? Maybe it's just that she doesn't want to provide sex before she at least feels the relationship may be serious. Remember, women who marry when still virgins have the lowest rate of divorce. And those who only have had one sex partner before marriage may have had it with the same man they do marry. In other words, it was already a very committed relationship. But if you are having sex every time you date someone new, you are likely to have a very high body count. Exactly how is that a good thing? I've pretty much never heard a man say he wanted a woman to have as high a body count as possible before considering her as marriage material.
And I'm here to tell you, ladies, that this is just not true. There are vanishingly few men who will see receiving access to your body as a negative. That's why they're there.
Even when many women were virgins on their wedding day and men wanted to marry a virgin, the men often still wanted to get sex. So yeah, they want sex even when they wanted to marry a virgin. You see, what men want to do in the short term doesn't necessarily match what they want in the long term. Even today, there is no shortage of men who specifically say they want to marry someone with a low body count. I suspect they prefer a virgin. But yeah, it's true that that is hard to find today. So they opt for the next best thing, which is a low body count. They still care about the numbers, and if the woman is having sex right away with each new boyfriend, the body count is going to be quite high. If the guy knows you were having sex all the time on the first or second date in the past, he likely would be less interested in you for a permanent relationship, yet be quite willing to have sex with you anyway. It is true that when men are interested in a woman, it includes an interest in having sex with them. That certainly doesn't mean that is their only interest. After all, you may be attracted to one woman romantically, but also see many other women who are just as physically attractive. You may imagine sex with every one of them, or all of them at the same time, but you are only interested in dating one, which means other things matter besides sex. Here is a pretty clear example that shows PsycHacks use it as being just about sex.
Men, just like women, prefer to spend their time in relationships where they get more of what they want and less of what they don't. As I've said before, the best attitude for a woman to adopt on a date is to manifest a high good times to hassle ratio. The more fun and pleasant and engaging the woman is, and the fewer problems or difficulties or stressful interactions she creates, the more likely that woman is going to get a repeat customer.
Sure, people want to get more of what they want, more fun, peace, and minimal stress. But PsycHacks treats it as if it is just measured by sex. Besides, the way PsycHacks describes things, it sounds pretty much the same kind of relationship as being the customer of a prostitute. In this next clip, notice how he equates an unwillingness to give easy sex to other unrelated negative traits.
She does not offer a good time. That is, she's boring, self-centered, defensive, arrogant, structured, etc.
Talk about jumping to conclusions, all because she doesn't offer easy sex. A woman can have all those negatives while still being free with sex. He repeatedly matches up any reticence to have sex to many other negatives a person may have, as if there is a direct connection. There is more of that in this clip.
The more a woman is attracted to a man, the more smooth and effortless she makes the courtship process. She is available, she is flexible, she is happy to be there, etc. On the other hand, when a woman is not very attracted to a given man, but may potentially see him as a long-term provider, then she tends to make the same process much more difficult. She is flaky, she is disrespectful, and she presents a number of emotional or behavioral challenges, commonly known as shit tests online, that the man must pass through to access her sexual opportunity.
There he goes again, automatically assuming not being free with sex makes a woman bad in other ways as well. Here's the thing about courtship. It is about learning more about your potential long-term partner. There is a reason why there were times dates involved a chaperone, and even holding hands was restricted. Because if you can't do anything remotely involving the physical, then you're pretty much forced to consider the other things your partner has to offer. Wouldn't it be good to know and understand your partner as your main priority? Sure, we don't have much in the way of chaperones today, except for maybe very young people. But that doesn't change the logical point that it isn't best to mostly be focused on sex to the point where you give it up on the first or second date. Considering how quickly sex drops off in so many marriages and how quickly many women lose their attractiveness, I submit it'd be more important to give more focus to non-sexual things. PsycHacks does the opposite.
Now, these women might think, good, I'm not just giving this away. Fair enough. But this attitude comes with one significant liability. Namely, the men in question no longer like these women, but they still want to f them.
Exactly the men women should avoid if all they care about is sex. After all, he just made an admission that they want sex whether they like the woman or not.
I advise women not to go out with men they're not actively interested in sleeping with.
Hey, I can agree with that, though probably not the way he thinks. Just as a man wants sex, but hopefully wants other things as well that are just as important, a woman who is dating someone she may want a serious relationship with should also be interested in sex. But the thing is, wanting sex doesn't mean sex should be given easily. But certainly a woman shouldn't be marrying a guy if she doesn't also want sex with him.
If the opportunity is off the table, then the woman is in some manner of bad faith. She's misguided at best and exploitative at worst.
Well, not having sex quickly is not the same thing as the opportunity being off the table, is it? Of course, if a woman is playing games, implying it will happen in the near future, but she is just playing the guy for a sucker, that's different. But that wouldn't apply to relationships in general. Look how PsycHacks describes things if you provide sex, but made him wait as little as 2 weeks.
And he sees that woman's name in his phone, he's gonna think, why bother? I've had sex with her, and those 20 minutes weren't worth waiting 2 weeks, listening to her complain about her work for several hours, being interrogated with respect to my intentions, made to feel ashamed, spending several hundreds of dollars on dates, and pretending to find her interesting. That's just too much. There's got to be another woman out there who isn't so damn expensive. Hard pass. And that's how women get ghosted.
Once again, making it as if only sex matters and automatically assigning other negatives to a woman who doesn't put out right away. He acts like nothing else the woman offers matters. As he puts it, sex is why men ask women out. Nothing else comes into the picture for him. But fascinating that he includes the man who was pretending to find her interesting. In other words, the man was misleading her and only cared about sex. That's a person to take a hard pass on. Let's see what he says while focusing on the so-called high-value men. That would typically be wealthy or powerful or famous or just particularly good-looking. For the record, these aren't how I determine someone's value, but sure, most do.
When men are attractive and high value, they routinely engage with attracted women for sexual relationships. So they are used to getting things fairly cheaply.
To me, that's a problem, though it's also true. These men get all the sex they want, but the key is that they aren't going to marry all these women who gave away sex so easily either.
And this means that even slight increases in incurred costs may be detrimental to the woman's long-term prospects.
That's scary, since he seems to be arguing that women should give up sex easily, or else these so-called high-value men won't be interested in them. But I submit that since these men get sex so easily, they aren't particularly interested in the vast majority of women they date either, beyond sex.
And that's why I argue that a woman's best bet is to offer the richest, creamiest milk she can, high good times, with as little difficulty or friction as she can muster, low hassle. These women do not get ghosted.
Nonsense. For one thing, of course these women get ghosted. Besides the simple fact that I've seen many men drop a woman once they've had sex, there is this thing called math. Just use common sense. While I don't agree with the exact numbers, we've all heard the claim that 80% of women only go after the top 20% of men. Well, I'm pretty sure that means about 75% of those particular women, no matter what, get ghosted, since 20% of men aren't going to marry 80% of women. Thanks for watching, and don't let the trolls stop you from speaking out.